What's up, YouTube? Capital G here. Alright guys, we're talking windups again. Unfortunately, this is not a pro windup video. This is a anti-windup video. Windups are definitely the best deck of the format right now. I think they're going to be the best deck of the format for the first half of the format. Now, luckily, what that does do is it puts a huge ass target on their back, and we can capitalize on that with tech cards. Now, if you're like me, you're one of those types of players who absolutely loves a deck when they're playing it. I mean, I remember late last format playing windups, and I used to open like Tour Guide Shark, and I'd just be thinking to myself, damn, this deck is so fucking skillful. But there are other times when you don't play the deck and your opponent goes normal summon magician, activate shark, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, like, you newbie fucktard. Seriously, like, who the hell plays a deck that's loosely based off a Disney Pixar movie? I'm just saying. So anyways, guys, I feel like if I can't get into the party, there should be no party. So I'm going to do what I do best, ruin it for everybody. This video and the synopsis is one thing and one thing only: the complete eradication and evisceration of windup. Now, we obviously can't completely eradicate the deck from competitive play, but we can make it so, you know, that you're educated enough to where if you run into this deck at regionals at the, you know, for the next month, which you will, if you plan an event that's larger than 7 rounds. Actually, no, if you play 7 rounds, you're running the one windup at least. That you are prepared and you know what to do. Now, you guys already know windup cards. You already know their key players. There's no point in me really spending time talking about their key plays and their key players and whatnot, because you should pretty much know the deck backwards and forwards. I mean, for the most part, all the deck did was trade in hand looping for OTKs, which I've already said is arguably more broken because you basically cut out the middleman. It's like, okay, I can loop your hand and like win 3 more turns later, or I can just win now. So let's talk about the key players and the good tech cards that I think you guys should look into against playing against this, or when you're playing against this deck. Mind Crush, Rivalry of Warlords, I did actually find one, but more specifically, I'm going to talk about a card I don't have, Goes in Match. Needle Ceiling, Maxi, Thunder King Ryo. These last 2 cards you guys should already pretty much be familiar with. Thunder King Ryo is seen play in just about every single deck under the sun. You know that they can't exceed when you have it on the board. They can't use their wind-up factory. They do have some main deck answers to it, but you just kind of have to play smart with your Thunder Kings. Don't go recklessly attacking into back rows of 3 or more cards, because you know that the deck is playing multiple Mirror Forces. You know that they're playing Deep Prisons. There's a good chance that your Thunder King will die to one of those cards if you play recklessly. Maxi, I believe, is a far superior card to Effect Veiler. The main reason is the deck is playing multiple copies of Wind Up Factory. You're going to run into players who are playing Pot of Duality too. So if, let's say, they summon, you know, Magician, and then you they trigger Shark from their hand, and you Veiler the Magician, well, they can still exceed into a Maelstrom or Utopia, and they can still make a pretty solid play without really using that many resources, without committing that much. And you're still kind of in the hole. You have to get over there at C2. They're really not in a bind, but if you play the Max C, then, I mean, they have to either leave a field of little-ass monsters on board, or they have to keep exceeding and let you draw like 18 cards. I mean, let's be real. If I have a whole hand of cards, like 10 cards, I'm going to crack your fucking Shopmaster loop. I feel like Max C puts the wind-up player in a more difficult spot. Needle Ceiling is a flat-out amazing card. I think right now, if I was going to a regional this week, or probably, you know, within the month, I would probably side a couple of copies of this card. The reason why is because Windups is a lot like Chaos Dragons. It's always been really, really good at doing one thing: converting its hand to board presence. I mean, that's why the deck always had kind of a poor Insector matchup. Same thing goes with Chaos Dragons, is because when you convert your 6 in hand to, you know, 6 on the board and a couple of back row, it's like, well, Insectors would just summon pop, 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 pop. Okay, your field is gonzo. But Needle Ceiling can basically just completely wreck their plays. If you know the biggest plays of the deck, the Magician Shark play, you know that when they summon the first Magician and they trigger the Shark, what do? They summon a second Magician. Then when Shark lowers its level to level 3, what do? They bring out a Rat in defense. Bam! 4 monsters on field, which means without even having a face-up monster on the board, you can trigger Needle Ceiling, which means you got an exchange of 1 card for their Magician and their Wind-Up Shark. Not to mention, I mean, they've used both. You kill both of their Magicians. So, I mean, if they're only running 2 Magicians, they're going to kind of have a hard time trying to dig out of that hole. I mean, the deck only runs about, what, 11 to 12 windups, you know, like now their only real power plays are plays with Wind-Up Wrap, and I feel like if you should be able to handle that. Mind Crush, absolutely fantastic card. You got to be a little risky with this card, but you know, I consider this high risk, high reward. If my opponent summons if your opponent ever summons a Magician, basically just throw this motherfucker over and call Wind-Up Shark. The thing is, even though it's a cost to reveal this, if you let them reveal this and you guarantee that they have the Wind-Up Shark in hand, the Magician on the field, even if you Mind Crush the Shark, will still trigger because you're not negating the activation of that effect. So you're letting that player still trigger their Magician, which can still get them, you know, like another Magician or a Shark and exceed into a level 4. So you're actually, I guess you're technically going neg on that. If they summon the Magician anyway, whether it be like through normal summon or through Zmighty, just go ahead and flip it over and call the Shark because there's like a 90% chance that they have Shark in their hand. And then my last card, I know I have Rivalry of Warlords here, and it does put in work, but Goes and Match is far better. The reason why is because when you're playing decks, like when you really look at Goes and Match, it basically outclasses Rivalry of Warlords and against, I mean, every single situation except maybe Dino Rabbit. These decks that all have, you know, types that are pretty much one type across the board, like Karakuris and Insectors and Blackwings, for the most part, they have the same attribute too. So the thing about this card, Goes and Match, is it still lets you synchro. So you can have your Karakuris on board, you can flip over your Goes and Match, and you can still synchro into a Naturia Beast or into a Naturia Barkion. And I mean, if you have a Goes and Match and a Naturia Beast, okay, that means no Heavy Storm. That means no MST. That means how are you going to get rid of my Goes and Match? And I'm just going to wreck you all day and night. So I look at decks like Worms and X-Sabers that should definitely be citing this card. If I was playing Worms, just a random thought, I'd be maining this card. But, you know, or if you're playing Gadgets, Karakuris, Machinas, Geargias, I think they're all Earth, so on and so forth. You know, if they play that Magician and they reveal Shark and you flip over Goes and Match, what happens to your Shark? It dies when it hits the field. I believe you can still activate the Magician, but what can you get? Just another Magician. You can't extend into anything. Basically, your entire deck shuts down. Let me know what you guys think of this video. Hopefully, this will help you guys because you're going to play against windups. And yeah, I just hope that you are prepared.